Hi guys, welcome to my channel and to my Journey in Beauty Awards. So today I am giving out awards for the best products and best parts of the year. I'm very excited for this video. I've had a lot of fun looking back at my collection, looking back at my faves and fails from the year, and just having fun picking out my favorites to share with you today. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and start with the primers of the year. I have a hydrating primer and a mattifying primer. I don't currently have the mattifying primer in my collection, so let's talk about that first, and I will put it on the screen for you. My very favorite mattifying primer of the year, and it is definitely something I will purchase in the future. I gotta try it in a Sephora Play Box or as a point perk, something like that. But it is the Too Faced Primed in Peachy Mattifying Primer. It smells wonderful. I felt like it did extend the longevity of my makeup, but without making my face look flat and matte. So it did prevent shine, but it didn't overly mattify my skin, and of course the smell is just amazing. My favorite hydrating primer find of the year is the Becca First Light Priming Filter. I love this. It is luminous, but it's more hydrating than anything. I do like to let this set on my skin and fully absorb before I apply my foundation, which I do in general with hydrating or luminous primers. But this just makes every single foundation that I wear over top look flawless. It makes my skin look and feel plump and hydrated, and it's kind of like a secret weapon if you ask me. Talking about foundations, I have a high-end and a drugstore version for you today. And let's go ahead and start with high-end because I've been raving about this foundation all year long. For me, this falls in my medium to full coverage category within my inventory, and this is a repurchase for me. I love this foundation because every single time I wear it, my skin looks like it's living its best life, and it actually truly is. I feel like this foundation does have skincare benefits to it, and it does claim to have skincare benefits to it. And without further ado, it is the IT Cosmetics CC Cream Color Correcting Full Coverage Cream plus Anti-Aging Hydrating Serum. I wear mine in the shade Light. I really love this. I can get away with one pump for the entire face. I don't tend to wear this at its fullest coverage abilities. I just use one pump, like I said, and diffuse it all over my face, but it wears beautifully, and I just feel like I'm at my best in terms of how my skin looks every single time that I wear this, so I will continue to repurchase this. Now for my drugstore foundation, I found this product pretty early on in the year, but I did not use it because I bought the wrong shade. It was much too light for me. But as the year has worn on, as I have continued to take good care of my skin and wear sunscreen every day, I've gotten more and more pale. And so it now works for me, and it is a brand new favorite, and I will continue to repurchase this because it's a drugstore foundation. Who doesn't want a affordable foundation option in their collection? Then you don't have to feel like, oh, I can't use very much of this, it's too expensive. And while it is a little high for a drugstore foundation, it is still a fave, and that is the Physicians Formula The Healthy Foundation. I have mine in LN4, which is light neutral 4. It is a really good shade match for me now. And one of my favorite things about it is the doe foot applicator. I know a lot of people don't care for a doe foot, or as Emily Noel likes to call it, a buck foot applicator, because it is so big, but I actually find that this makes my foundation routine go a lot faster. I put this into the light to medium foundation category within my inventory, and I do feel like most of the time I do get a light coverage out of this. I put it in one place at a time and blend it, usually with a beauty blender. I did apply it with a brush today and it was definitely more full coverage, but I love this stuff. I will definitely be repurchasing this. It doesn't feel like a drugstore or affordable foundation whatsoever. It just feels nice. Next, let's get into powders. I have 3 categories for you here: pressed, loose, and finishing powders. First and foremost, pressed powder. This is a repurchase again for me, and it does come from the drugstore. And it comes from the brand number 7, and this is the Perfect Light pressed powder in the shade medium. I'm not going to show it to you because you will be seeing this very soon in my finale for my year-long project pan. But I love this powder. I've gotten several people started on this powder as well. My sister loves it, Angela loves it, and it's just a beautiful pressed powder. It doesn't make your face look powdery, but it does set your makeup in place all day. It's very hard pressed and it's very finely milled, and so it's almost like it's a pressed loose powder because of how finely milled it is. And I just feel like I love the finish that it does for my skin. I am wearing it today so you can see that I'm not looking flat or matte, but my makeup is set in place and I will continue to repurchase this product over and again. Next is my favorite loose powder, and this is a relatively new find for me. This is a product that I've heard a lot about. It's a product that keeps reappearing in the Emily Awards year after year, and ultimately this was the product that actually got me into loose powders. I wasn't ever really a fan of loose powders. I've tried several, I've decluttered several, but this product makes my skin look flawless, and it is the Laura Mercier translucent loose setting powder. This is the mini size. I did get a tiny little sample size in my Sephora Play box twice actually. The second one I gave to Angela so she could try the formula, but I used up the entire sample and I knew within a week or so that I wanted to purchase this product. I did buy the mini size because I have a couple of loose powders as well in my collection that I need to work on using up this year, but this is going to be a holy grail product for me. I love the way it sets down my makeup. It doesn't add any coverage, which I like because I don't like full coverage, and it just applies beautifully. You don't have to use much at all, like the tiniest amount. You can set your full face. It will stay on all day and your skin will look flawless no matter what base products that you pair it with. So this is definitely a favorite. And last, this is probably no surprise to anyone who has been on this journey with me for any amount of time, but my favorite finishing powder, as in after I put on my base, after I put on my colored face products, then I go in with a finishing powder, and it is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder in Dim Light. I'll show you the progress on this. It is almost gone, and I do own the full size of this, so that is why I'm panning the mini, but I love this powder. It absolutely, I mean, what glow you're seeing. I have a little bit of this, you know, I went over my blush and whatnot. It just makes my skin look healthy. I had an experience this year and it still makes me feel good when I think about it, but I had gone to a restaurant with my husband and kiddos, and the waitress walked up to our table and looked at me and gasped when I gave her my ID for an alcoholic beverage, and she said, "Girl, whatever you're doing, it is working for you." And it was this product right here. It's absolutely stunning. I realize it's really expensive, so I will be doing research this year to see if I can find a finishing powder that is less expensive. But even if I can't, I love this product and I would wholeheartedly pay full price over and again. Next, here comes bronzer. This was a really hard category. I don't think most people would probably struggle to determine their favorite bronzers, and I did finally break it into two categories, which is matte bronzer and satin bronzer. These may or may not be a surprise to you if you've been on this journey with me for any length of time. My favorite matte bronzer of all time that's been around with me since the very beginning of my journey in beauty is the number 7 Match Made bronzer in the shade Caramel. I was panning this year. I did end up, you know, not working on it anymore after I had hit pan, which was my goal, but I did use it today and I still love it every bit as much. This is just like the pressed powder from number 7 that I mentioned in my powder category because it is extremely finely milled and also hard pressed. So it's really easy to apply without going overboard. It is buildable, but it is also user-friendly. And this particular shade I think is a perfect shade for me. I just love this bronzer. I've tried the Hoola this year and a couple of other matte bronzers, I think, but this one takes the cake for sure. I love the formula and I will continue to use it. Now, satin bronzer was the harder of the two categories. I don't even know, that's probably horrible grammar. Because I have some really nice satin bronzers. I have the Becca Capri Coast bronzer. I have the Tarte Park Avenue Princess bronzer, which is also stunning. I have an Hourglass bronzer that I really like. But I thought and thought and thought and thought, and I swatched and swatched, and I finally determined that even though this is a cult classic and highly raved about on YouTube, it's the Butter Bronzer from Physicians Formula. I wear mine in the shade Sun-Kissed Bronzer. This was one of the two new and darker shades that they introduced this year. I just love this. I could use it every single day and never get sick of it. Of course, the smell is amazing, but it just makes my skin look flawless, and that's what I'm into. I want my skin to look flawless, especially as I continue to get older, and I just think this is super flattering. Again, the undertone is rather appropriate for my warm undertone skin, and I love this puppy. So next is blush, and if you guys know me, you know I love my blush. This was definitely a hard category, and so I ended up breaking it into my favorite cool tone blush and my favorite warm tone blush. I do like both. I do like to use a cool or a warm blush based on the rest of my color cosmetics, specifically my eyeshadow and also my clothes. And I am wearing the warm tone one today, and it is, maybe not a surprise if you've been around for a little while, the e.l.f. Mellow Mauve. Like I said, this is the one that I am wearing today. This is extremely unique. It has a warm tone base, but it absolutely has a cool tone shift to it. For color products, I'm gonna try my best to get swatches up here for you. But this is not only a fabulous formula, it is a fabulous color. And I feel like because it has that warm base with the cool shift, it almost leans neutral, as in I think you can wear it with a warm or a cool look. It's just one of the most unique blushes I have ever seen, and it's $3. So I think even that makes it even more amazing to me. This is definitely a favorite. If I was going to recommend any warm tone blush to anyone, it would be this one. Also, this is one that lasts on my skin all day. My face has a tendency... Also, this is one that lasts all day. My face has a tendency to eat or absorb blush. I'm not for sure what that's about, especially now that my skin leans more normal than combo or oily. But this one actually shows up on my skin and it stays present all day, which is a huge win for me. And coming in as a favorite of cool tone blushes, this one was a surprise to me. When I was swatching blushes and looking in my collection over the period of time that I worked on this video, This was actually a blush that I decluttered to Angela earlier in the year, and then I received it again in a Sephora Play box, and I love it now. I'm not for sure what possessed me to want to declutter it in the past. I just have no idea, other than, you know, probably ignorance. But it's the Tarte 12-Hour Amazonian Clay Blush in the shade Partay. This was the birthday gift from Sephora in 2018, 17, yes. So I just love this. It's kind of interesting because this actually leans pretty warm looking on Angela, but on my skin it actually looks relatively cool. I think I just spit. Whoa. It has the tiniest little bit of luminosity to it, and it absolutely does stay on my skin all day, which again is definitely something that I'm looking for in a blush. It's just beautiful. This blush makes me want to try other shades in the range from this brand. I'm not a big Tarte person overall, but these blushes sold me on this formula. It's absolutely amazing. Highly recommend. Next is highlight, and I did not do any stick or cream highlights because ultimately they just aren't my fave. So how I broke up this category was subtle and blinding, and I have a need for both in my life. I don't know about you. Some people really like a subtle highlight. Some people really like that blinding, glowing to space highlight, and I actually like both. So for a subtle highlight, this was something that I received in a Sephora Favorites box. It actually really surprised me because when I opened the box, I was like, I don't know that that's going to work for me. It looked very, very light, and it also was very, very powdery. Also, the name gave me pause because it's almost like an oxymoron. It is the Laura Mercier Matte Radiance Baked Powder in the shade 01 Highlight. I've heard other people speak on this highlighter. It is absolutely stunning and natural. This is what it looks like, and it does have quite a bit of kick up in the pan when you use it, no matter what type of brush you use. But this is one of those highlights that just sort of melts into the skin and becomes a part of your skin, and it looks like a natural glow, not a stripe of highlighter. I don't have a problem with a stripe of highlighter, but when I'm looking for subtle, this is one of my favorites. And when it comes to blinding highlights, this is definitely the blinding highlight in my collection. I got this just a month or two ago, although it was long enough ago that I felt confident in putting it in my awards this year. And it is the Pixi Glowy Gossamer Duo in the shade Subtle Sunrise. One of these is more peachy and the other is more gold. And these are not subtle. These are the most blinding highlights I have in my collection. Probably a close second to these would be like my Becca highlighters. These are even more blinding, and I like that you get two. And I also like that it's a drugstore product. Of course, Pixi is a little bit pricey when it comes to drugstore, but this is a fabulous formula. They're very, very smooth. They are easy to buff into the skin. I would recommend a dense brush with these when buffing them into the skin. I am wearing this shade right here, this peachy shade, on my cheeks today. And while it's very blinding, I feel like it's melted into my skin really nicely. Next is face palettes, and this was definitely difficult. I would like to say that I received several face palettes in the last month or so, but I'm not including anything that I received in the month of December, you know, in the order that my husband made for me, etc. I'm not including any of those in my awards this year because I don't feel like I've had them long enough to actually call them favorites. So this came to me earlier in the year. It's one I'm almost certain some of you will disagree with me on, but I do stand by my choice with the Makeup Revolution, the Emily Edit, the Needs palette. This is a for me choice. This is for me my favorite face palette. All three of these shades here, including the powder, All three of these are perfect for my skin tone. No guesswork. I can easily go into this palette and use all four products and my skin will look flawless, and I really, really like that. This powder is really nice. I can actually use it under my eyes. It's so soft and finely milled, and that shocked the shit out of me, considering I can't even wear some of my favorite powders underneath my eyes because it just looks dry. The bronzer is a great undertone for me. It's also easy to apply. It's buildable, but it's not scary pigmented. This blush is nearly neutral on me, which is one of the things I like about it. Like I said, I can easily use all of these on my face regardless of whatever else I am wearing. And then this highlighter called Gratitude is completely unique to my collection. It just has the most interesting look to it, but it is a subtle highlight, which I think is what some people didn't care for about it, but I love it because it gives the most natural radiance to my skin, a lot like the Laura Mercier one that I mentioned, but in a slightly cooler tone, which I really like with the warmer blush. So like I said, you guys may not agree with me, but of all of my face palettes that I started the year with or gained throughout the year, this is my favorite. I love this for travel. I have taken it with me traveling like overnight several times. It's just beautiful. My only gripe with this is that I hope at some point we can determine, I know that the face colors were not created by Emily, they were selected by Emily from the existing products in the line from Makeup Revolution or Revolution Makeup, I guess they call it now, who knows. So I really would like to do the research and find out if I can purchase these products individually, because I absolutely would. Let's talk about the mascara of the year. This was really hard. I was tempted to put in my favorite high-end mascara, which is the Marc Jacobs Velvet Noir Extreme Volume whatever mascara. I really, really like that one. I like the formula, I like the brush on it, etc. This is something that I received in November as a gift from my girl Angela. It was something that we had talked about. She knew I wanted it, and when she discovered that it existed, especially in the drugstore, she purchased it and surprised me on Black Friday. I was on a no-buy, so it was an extremely thoughtful gift, and I'm getting misty. It's ridiculous. But anyway, this is the L'Oreal Voluminous Original Mascara, but it is in the shade Burgundy. You guys probably already know I'm obsessed with Hannah Louise Poston and her No By Year journey. I will have her channel listed below. She's been a huge inspiration to me and coming to the conclusion that I wanted to do a No By Year myself. And she had talked several times throughout the year about a mascara from YSL called The Shock, and it came in a burgundy shade, and she was kind of bummed when it finally dried up and she couldn't use it anymore. And lo and behold, L'Oreal makes a burgundy mascara. I'm hoping it will show up on camera. But the mascara is very much the same color as the tube. And this is really, really beautiful. You know, I really just was kind of curious and wanted to try it. But once I tried it, oh, so good. It's just really pretty. It's subtle. It almost looks like you're wearing a brown mascara unless you're like face to face in person. I don't feel like it shows up very well on camera because I've worn it a few times for filming. But I am so thankful to have this in my collection, and this was definitely the best mascara I tried this year. So next we're gonna go into some of the fun categories. I thought I would be clever and come up with some titles based on actual award show categories that I found on the interweb. And so I'm going to call the category for lips Best Kiss. And for each category, bullet lipsticks, liquid lipsticks, and lip gloss, I'm going to bring to you my favorite formula as well as my favorite shade. My favorite shades are not in my favorite formulas, actually. So you're gonna get a wide variety of some of my favorite lippies in this category. So talking about bullet lipsticks, my favorite formula, it's not actually a bullet, but it does fall into that lipstick category, like your general lipstick category. You guys have heard me rave on and on about this formula all year, and it is the NARS Velvet Matte Lip Pencils. My signature color that I absolutely love is this shade called Let's Go Crazy, which happens to be a Prince song. And then my newest one I actually did get in December. It was a freebie that came with the order that my husband made for me, and this is the shade Dulce Vita, and it is the shade that I'm wearing today. This is a beautiful color, and this formula is just so freaking smooth, it makes me sick. It is the most comfortable matte formula I have ever tried in this year and previous to this year. I have always been a lippy junkie, even when I was wearing the most minimal makeup for about 10 years. But these are really wonderful. They have an incredible amount of longevity on the lips. And this lippy right here is actually the lippy that I wore for my sister's wedding. And I knew from the conception of the idea of thinking about what makeup I was going to wear to my sister's wedding that this would be the lip. So hopefully that tells you something, because I really, really love this formula. Now, in terms of bullet lipsticks and my favorite shade, this was a real discovery for me this year. I saw this lipstick originally on Alice Rose's channel. She and I did a collaboration way back at the beginning of my journey in beauty. I will link her if I remember. And this shade comes from MAC. It comes from their Frost line, and the shade is called On and On. And this looks extremely dark in the tube, but hopefully you can see it has like a dark plum base, but it has a turquoise glitter in there as well, and this is stunning. Again, I'm gonna put swatches up for you. But the plum base is actually relatively sheer, which I was so excited to find out when I actually swatched this in store at Ulta. I was like, done, absolutely done. It's beautiful. It's a sheer plum base with a turquoise shimmer, and I absolutely love to wear this with turquoise eye looks, which you guys know is my jam. Going into liquid lipsticks, this was a hard category for me because in general, I'm not a huge fan of liquid lipsticks, but these two in terms of formula and shade are my favorite. And actually my favorite formula came to me by way of BoxyCharm, which is an extreme rarity. And actually my favorite shade came from BoxyCharm too, which I just realized. But my favorite formula that I tried this year for liquid lipsticks is the Ofra Long Lasting Liquid Lipstick. This is in the shade Verona. It's a beautiful brown nude, very 1990s Jennifer Aniston shade, if you will. This formula is very reminiscent of an actual liquefied lipstick, so not like a long-lasting liquid lipstick, but more of just like literally a liquefied like bullet lipstick. And I think that's what I like about it. It is long-lasting, although not as long-lasting as some of the drier formulas that I've tried. But this is really comfortable. I like this shade. I'd love to try other shades in this formula, but yeah, this was the one for me this year. It was long lasting, but it was extremely comfortable to wear. It felt a lot like just wearing a matte bullet lipstick, and that's what I'm looking for in a liquid lipstick. And then going into my favorite shade for the year for liquid lipsticks, again, this came to me by way of BoxyCharm. It was a brand I had never tried before, and this is the Hank & Henry Lip Aesthetic Matte Liquid Lipstick in the shade Petal Pusher. First and foremost, how cute is this packaging? It looks like a bullet lipstick, but it is in fact a liquid lipstick. And I love this shade. I think it's extremely versatile. It verges on the edge of a red liquid lipstick, but it has a little warmth to it. It has a little bit of like a dusty aspect to it, like a muted or grayed out aspect to the shade, and I just find that it works with a ton of looks for me. And the formula is good too. It's very comfortable, it's very long lasting, and this is one of the lippies from BoxyCharm this year that I reach for the most. So thanks a lot, BoxyCharm. And let's talk lip gloss. I have always loved lip gloss, and I've tried a lot of them. This year, my favorite find for lip gloss comes from a drugstore brand. I've already gone through a whole one. I'm halfway through my second one, and I was gifted a third one for Christmas from my girl Angela, and it is the Milani Keep It Full Nourishing Lip Plumper. My first one that I had, I believe, was in the shade Soft Rose, still my favorite shade that I've tried. This one right here is in the shade Blush, and then this is the one Angela gave me for Christmas. She received a duplicate, and it's in the shade Luminoso, which is, you know, the same shade as the cult favorite blush that everybody loves. These are amazing. I go through them so quickly. Like you can see, I'm just darn near to half finished with this one. I go through these so quickly because I actually use this as my prep when I'm putting on my makeup and getting ready to film. This is nourishing. I don't know that it plumps, but it does nourish and hydrate the lips, so probably that's where the plumping factor comes from. It does have a minty feel and a little bit of a minty smell to it, but nothing stinging or burning, anything like that. And they're just really, really nice. I put this on after I've done my face. I put this on while I'm doing my eyeshadow and things like that, and then I just blot it a little bit and go in with whatever lip product I'm gonna wear for the day. This is definitely my favorite form of lip gloss that I have ever tried. And then my favorite shade of lip gloss for the year was just like a happenstance type situation. My sister had purchased this product. I loved the color on her. She's very much paler than I am, but we both really like statement lips, and we have similar taste in statement lips. And so I just so happened to find this in the clearance section at my local grocery store one day, and so I grabbed it. And it is the CoverGirl Katy Kat lip gloss in the shade Kitty Karma. Yes, Kitty Karma. This is so pretty. This is like Barbie lips. That's what I've always called this. It's pink, but it has like a purple, blue, pink, like shift duochrome situation. It's extremely long lasting for a gloss. It blows my mind every time I use it. I love the color, it's super fun, but the formula is really great as well, and I highly recommend these. I believe you can still pick them up from CoverGirl. I haven't tried any other shades, but I definitely love this one, and if pink is your jam, then I recommend it. All right, last category before we get into some very special awards for the year, and this may be the category that you've all been waiting for. We're gonna talk about eyeshadow palettes. So obviously, an eyeshadow junkie like me had a really hard time picking palettes, and so I finally decided that I had to split up the category into neutral and colorful. I love me some neutrals, and the palette that I chose for the neutral category was a very obvious choice to me. It's something I've been loving on all year. The colorful palette was also an easy choice once I split up the category into two subcategories. So I don't know if any of you will be surprised, but my very favorite neutral palette that I tried this year is the Persona Identity palette. This is an indie brand. This brand was created by Sona Gusparian here on YouTube. Lovely person. She actually commented on every video in which I used this palette, which was really sweet of her. And this is what she looks like. 6 mattes and 6 shimmers. My absolute favorite shade in the palette is this one right here called Bombshell. It's one of those like olivey green shimmers. I have several in my collection, but this is definitely my favorite. This again was the palette that I wore for my sister's wedding. I knew I could count on it to be fabulous. So yeah, I love this palette. If I had to pick a neutral palette to gift to someone who is either just getting started in makeup or who really loves makeup but loves neutrals, this would be the one I would purchase every single time. I love it so much. And my very favorite colorful eyeshadow palette of the year, again, I said this was an easy choice, and not only because I love the colors, but I really determined that I love this formula this year. I now have 2 palettes from this brand. The formula is consistent between the 2. Even though this palette is limited edition, it is still currently available. Not that I'm encouraging you to run out and buy it. I will encourage you to shop your stash for the shades if you're interested. But it is the Violet Voss Flamingo palette. I had so much fun with this palette this year, and I'm continuing to have fun. It is what I have on my eyes today. And here she is. I just love this palette. The mattes are smooth and pigmented, but not too pigmented, if you will. They're very buildable, but the pigment is very nice. They feel a little dry to the touch, but I think only because they are so finely milled and blendable. Also, obviously, the shimmers in here are fantastic. The shades I'm wearing today is this one right here called Sandals, this one right here called Island, and on the inner third of my lid, this one right here called Seashells, and that's it, I think. But there are a couple of duochromes in here, a really nice mixture of mattes and shimmers, including like some staples right here. This is kind of a rusty orange, leaning a little bit brown. Of course, you have a black here, and then you have a bone-ish color for setting your primer or for blending that works really nicely. So I do love this palette. This is very much my favorite colorful palette that I acquired this year, and I acquired quite a few. So those are the palettes of the year. There were definitely some close seconds in this category, but mostly they didn't win because they're too new to my collection. So I won't give them any honorable mentions because you may see them in the Journey in Beauty Awards next year. But I really love these 2 palettes, and if you were in the market for something similar, I highly recommend them, both on formula as well as shade recommendations. So the next category is Best Couple, and for me this meant 2 palettes that pair together perfectly. And I don't think anyone can deny that the ABH Modern Renaissance and the ABH Soft Glam palettes are perfect to pair. So many people say that Soft Glam is warmer and Modern Renaissance is cooler, but I actually feel like if you look at them, I mean, if you put these 2 together, this is a stunning palette. I love the shades in these 2 palettes, and I think going between them, I mean, it's almost like the Prism palette and the Subculture palette. They just pair nicely together. I definitely want to do a project in this upcoming year where I see how many different looks that I can get out of pairing these 2 palettes together. I just haven't figured out how to do that without compromising my Pan That Palette project, but I love these 2 palettes together. I feel like they were made to go together, and I think they are a perfect couple. Kind of along the same vein, the next category is Best On-Screen Duo. These 2 products pair beautifully together and give me the most flawless look on camera. There's a lot of combinations that I like wearing in my daily life, but I do tend to wear a more full face of makeup when I'm going to be filming, which, let's face it, is a lot. But these 2 products absolutely make my skin look flawless on camera, and it is my Becca First Light Primer and my Physicians Formula The Healthy foundation. And of course, these were winners in their individual categories, but paired together, this hydrating primer and then this somewhat full cover, medium coverage, somewhere in there. These two paired together, they're just really freaking nice on my skin. I really like them. This gives me a great amount of hydration as well as a little bit of a luminous quality in my skin, and then this just pairs beautifully with it. I don't even know how else to say. This is my favorite combination of products for base for filming. Next category is Best Fight, and this is a product that I changed my mind about through the panning process. A product that I thought I hated, and through the process of panning I found a holy grail product, and it just so happens it's a drugstore product as well, and that is the NYX HD Studio Photogenic Concealer. I have two shades currently. This is CW4 and this is CW3. This is a brightening shade for me. This is a spot concealing shade for me. I would say that this is a medium coverage concealer, but what I really like about it is it doesn't make my under eyes look dry, and that's probably my most problematic area that I still struggle. This is definitely a holy grail concealer for me. I just love it. I highly recommend it. It's $5.99. It does give me the amount of coverage that I need for my under eyes in terms of dark circles and whatnot, but it also, like I said, doesn't dry out my under eyes. I don't feel the need to set this one when I use it, and it's just wonderful. If you haven't tried this, I highly recommend it. I actually discovered quite a few NYX products that I love this year through panning them, thinking that I didn't love them at first. So this was the best fight of the year. I pushed myself through panning this shade originally, so this was a repurchase for me, and then I bought a brightening shade because, like I said, my skin tone has changed over the year, so this is a wonderful concealer and I will continue to repurchase this forevermore. Next, I have two products for Best Hero. In my opinion, both in the skincare and the makeup category, these products were lifesavers for me this year. So let's start with skincare. I've spoken on these before, but not for a little while, and they are the Skin Iceland Blemish Dots. You do get 4 sheets in here of 12 dots, so you do get 48 dots. This package right here is $20. I get mine from Ulta. This is what the little packets look like. I guess I'll open it because I don't have one currently open. But inside you get this little sheet of stickers, basically. Don't let your toddler get a hold of these. You have smaller ones and larger ones. Basically what you do is at night after you've cleansed, but before you do moisturizer or anything like that, you put one of these little stickers over a blemish, and I kid you not, overnight it will be gone. But it will be gone without leaving a dry, scabby, like scar type thingy behind. It just, I don't know what it does. I don't know what kind of magic this possesses, but I love it so much. It says blemish dots with willow bark, which is rich in salicylic acid. So just know that if your skin does not like salicylic acid, maybe skip these. There are lots of different versions of these out there, but I do find these to be extremely effective, as well as the lowest priced version of something like this. And my skin does like salicylic acid when it comes to, you know, acne. I can't do the benzoyl peroxide, but my skin does like the salicylic acid. So I actually highly recommend these. Obviously, if you're really struggling with acne, this is not going to be an economical way to treat blemishes. But for someone like me who has gone from very oily to combo in the warm months to normal in the cooler months, for an occasional hormonal breakout or something like that, or something that's like really painful, this is a fantastic option, and it has been a complete lifesaver this year. And then going back to another winner in its individual category, it is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder in the shade Dim Light. Again, this is what it looks like. This just puts a veil of perfection over my skin. If my foundation looks cakey, if I went crazy with the pressed powder or the loose powder, if my skin's looking very uneven and textured, if I went ham with the blush, if I went ham with the bronzer, if I went ham with the highlighter, no matter what's going on with my skin, no matter what kind of flukes are going on with my makeup that day, if I put this all over my face, it is really, really and truly a veil of perfection. Now, this is just the shade that works best for me. There are a lot of shades there on the Sephora website as well as the Hourglass website that you can choose from. But this is just amazing. This is like magic powder, and I will always feel that way. It is expensive, but for me, I don't blow through finishing powders. It's not even something I necessarily use every single day. So I feel justified in this little luxury splurge. All right, before we get to the best actor or actress of the year, let's talk about the best supporting actor or actress this year. And for me, this was my favorite brushes of the year. Starting with face brushes, again, this is actually a product that I received from BoxyCharm. I know some people didn't care for it, but I also know my girl Angela and I love this brush, and it is the P12 brush from Aesthetica. I believe they call this a powder brush, and I do think it runs about $28 on the Aesthetica website. At first I thought for this type of brush, given the weight of it, and even kind of the material that it appears to be made of, I originally thought $28 was a complete joke. I can tell you that if I had a dog and it chewed it up tomorrow, I would be on there replacing this, except for I'm on my no-buy year, so I'd have to beg somebody to gift one to me. But I love this brush. It does work nicely for powder. How I've been using it for most of the time that I've had this is for bronzer. The reason I like it is this tapered shape. So this flat edge right here works really nice for bronzing and carving out my cheekbones, as well as because it's tapered and it has this little point, you can really get direct with where you're placing your bronzer along the hairline. So I find it to be really versatile in that way, but Angela has been raving about it in terms of applying blush as well as bronzer. I'd yet to try it for blush until today, and I'm sold. This is the perfect blush brush, again, for that same reason, because I can get this flat edge, I can start at the hairline like I do and just work my blush down to my cheek. And it's fantastic. I love this brush. Of course, you don't have to have this brush, but I do love the shape of this brush, and it's a new favorite. And then this was kind of an afterthought, but I thought I have some real favorites for eye brushes this year as well, and this was actually kind of a newer one to my eye brush collection, if you want to go there. But ultimately, this is my favorite brush that I've purchased this year. It comes from Delium Tools. You guys know I like their brushes. It's from their Golden Triangle collection, and this is the 781 crease brush. And that's what it looks like. It's kind of shaped like that P12 brush that I showed you, but very, very small. It is tapered to a point right here, but what I like about it is that I can get a real direct placement on the eye. It's very dense, but also has some flex to it, so it works really nicely for like packing a color on that outer corner and then blending it into your crease. I just love it. I've been on a mission for at least the last 6 months to find smaller eyeshadow brushes because I realized that that was what was missing from my collection, and it was something that was causing me not to be able to live my best eyeshadow life because a lot of my brushes were just too big and too fluffy. So this was definitely a favorite this year, and I'm so glad that I added it to my collection. Just a few last categories. I know this is getting long. For Best Actor or Actress, originally I was going to pick my favorite product of the year, and let's be honest, I just couldn't do it. I've tried so many things this year, and so many good things at that, so I decided to make this category my favorite brands of the year. I have a high-end brand, which you might guess, and I have an affordable brand. So my high-end brand is something that I own a lot of, and it is Hourglass. Let's say it together. I have a ton of Hourglass products in my collection. I love them all. My newest one is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Unlocked that my hubby purchased as an early Christmas present for me, of 2 blushes, a highlighter, 2 powders, and a bronzer. They're all fabulous. These products are absolutely transformative to me, and therefore Hourglass is my favorite high-end brand of the year. And honestly, it probably should be called my favorite luxury brand of the year. My favorite affordable brand of the year does not come from the drugstore, but it is sold at Ulta as well as their direct sale website. I currently own 4 palettes from this brand, and it is BH Cosmetics. This brand shocked the hell out of me this year in terms of how affordable they are and the quality on top of that. This is not a brand that's good for the price. This is just a good brand, and the price makes it even better. In fact, it really kind of bugs me when people are like, this is great for the price. I'm like, no, is it great or is it not great? Who cares about the price? Either it's good or it isn't. It has nothing to do with the price, and these are just good. My very first palette from BH was the Take Me Back to Brazil palette. I've used this a ton this year. This was my very first like all colorful palette. I use this a ton. This is my go-to. If I'm looking for a bright color, I go here and look for it first. I've used this for a ton of color challenges and so on and so forth. I love it. Next, I ordered the BH Zodiac palette, and this was my first experience with their baked shadows, and these are absolutely stunning. This formula of the baked metallic shadows is unlike any other eyeshadow formula that I have tried, and the mattes are fabulous too. So that was a wonderful experience. And then the next palette, even though I completely duped this palette with my girls Amanda D and Jessica Lee on a live stream, I ended up buying this palette anyways because I love the composition of the colors in this palette, and it is the Weekend Festival palette. This is absolutely gorgeous. I love, like I said, the composition and the color story in here. It's completely unique. There's a couple of staple neutrals in here, but otherwise it's just beautiful colors. There's a couple duochromes in here. There's a couple different formulas. I would say that there's metallic and there's satin or even glitter in here. And the thing I like about this too is that the bold colors are not just metallic. We have the pink and the orange and the purple and this aqua right here, even this bubblegum pink. These are all matte shadows, and that's awesome. It makes it even more versatile when it's set up like that. And then my girl Angela, she spoiled me for Christmas this year. We agreed we would exchange gifts with each other, and she sent me a palette that she knew I wanted. Of course, I'm on my no buy, but I'm very thankful to have this, and it is the Royal Affairs. This speaks to me on every level. I love monarchies and just that era. So the shade names are fabulous on this one, but also the color story just speaks to me. There's a few pops of warmth, but I would say overall this is a cool tone palette. I really haven't gotten to dive into it very much yet, but again, we have some duochromes in here. more satin, more metallic shades, and some really, really fabulous mattes. So look forward to seeing more on that very soon. So for me, the worst product of the year, and I don't currently own it anymore. I did declutter it to my daughter, but I'll just put a picture on the screen for you. No shade, no drama, none of that. All of that is aside, the worst product that I tried this year was the Laura Lee Los Angeles Party Animal palette. This palette was absolute garbage. The shades were beautiful. I was so eager to get it when I saw it spoiled that we were getting this product in BoxyCharm, irregardless of the controversy with Laura Lee. And when I got it, I was so disappointed. The mattes are very, very chalky. The only shimmer in the palette is the purple, which was just okay for me. I just didn't think overall that the colors really worked together very well. It was really, really hard to work with. It was hard to build up. My friend Annette and I from Annette's Makeup Corner, we had done a collab on this. We had even considered scrapping the collab because the palette was so bad. But ultimately, you know, we decided to carry on and give you guys our full opinions on them, good or bad, as we always do. And so it was just the worst product I tried this year. And I think part of it was the anticipation of getting it. It was a brand new product at the time and we were getting it in BoxyCharm. But also I was so looking forward to it, and it was a huge letdown. So like I said, I did not give any awards in my main categories out to products that I received in December. I didn't feel like that would be fair, not only because I didn't have them for long enough, but also because we all know how we feel about new products in our collection. And sometimes that love or infatuation wears off, and sometimes it doesn't, which is why I didn't put anything new. But I did want to give an award to my favorite new product in my collection this year, and it is something I received from my hubby, and it's also very dirty. I'm sorry. It's the Narcissist, what do they call it? Cheek Studio palette. I can't ever remember if it's Cheek Studio or Studio Cheek palette, but anyways, this is what it looks like. I do love NARS, and I've been wanting one of their like face palettes for a long time. I love face palettes. So you have just a regular powder here, a contour shade, a bronzer, and 4 blushes. I did shop my stash for this month, and I've been using it all month, and I absolutely love it. I feel like it's versatile. You can mix the blushes together, you can mix the contour and the bronzer together if you want. The powder in here is absolutely gorgeous all over the face, and I just love it. So I had to give an honorable mention. This is my favorite new product to my collection. And then I thought that I would make a prediction for the 2019 JourneyInBeauty Awards. I just thought it would be fun to make a prediction, and then at the end of next year we can see if I was right or not. But my prediction for next year is that somewhere in my awards will appear an extremely luxurious gift from my husband. I don't have words for this. Just the thought that he would see fit to purchase something like this for me was very touching, and it was in the massive order that he made for me so I could start my no buy year early. It comes from Kevin Aquan. It comes in this velvet bougie bag, as I like to call it, and it is the Kevin Aquan Neo Bronzer in Sienna. I like this because, or I wanted this because it's a multi-purpose product. Your bronzer here, a blush here, and the highlight here, but of course you can swirl them all together. Put your brush in different places to sort of get a color variety. This is the most luxurious feeling powder product that I have ever tried, and I have the best hubby ever. So I predict that we may see this in the Journey in Beauty Awards next year. And then my last two categories are regarding videos from this year. My first video award goes to the best video I watched this year. And let's be honest, I watch a ton of YouTube, not as much now that I'm so busy as a creator of YouTube, but I still watch a ton of YouTube. This video comes from probably my favorite creator ever, or bigger creator as in bigger than me creator. It comes from Georgia Harris, and it is the Ultimate Makeup Hacks Remix. I'm gonna link this video below. If you haven't seen it, you must put it in your favorites here on YouTube. If you're having a bad day, you need a laugh, somebody else needs a laugh, I practically showed this video to strangers on the street because I felt like it was so funny, and so I'm going to link it below. I really hope you'll go check it out. The last video of the year is my favorite video that I created this year, and actually this falls under a we created this year. My very favorite video that I created this year was actually a collaboration in real life with my girl Angela from Beauti By Angela. This was a chit chat get ready with me featuring a tag. Half of it's on my channel, half of it's on her channel. This was our very first time meeting in real life, and we had an absolute blast. We knew we were fast friends from talking on the phone and FaceTiming and whatnot before she came to visit me, but once she came to visit with me and met my children and my husband and everything, I knew we would be friends forever, and therefore this is my favorite video that I did this year. It was funny, it was a hilarious editing experience, there's some really funny moments, and actually when I asked my daughter Hannah today what she thought my best video that I created this year was that didn't have her in it, this was the video that she picked, and I really agree with her. This is definitely my favorite video that I made this year. And that's it. That is the Journey in Beauty Awards. I can't wait to do this from year to year, see if anything stays the same, see what is different, and I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful, award-winning makeup days, and I will see you in my next video soon. Bye!